Hi there, this is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, and welcome to another episode of In the Frame. Today I'm going to talk about the Imprint box set Hammer Horror, which is 4 gothic horror films: Countess Dracula, Hands of the Ripper, Twins of Evil, and Vampire Circus. And this is spine numbers 50, 51, 52 and 53, and it's in a lovely bit of cardboard from Imprint. Now, all 4 of these films are available on Blu-rays elsewhere. I actually have 2 of them on network Blu-ray. I'll get to them shortly, because I'm going to throw in a mini episode of boutique label battle between Imprint and the network editions. Originally, I wasn't going to buy this from Imprint, because again, Imprints are pretty expensive, but I did see it for 20 odd pounds cheaper than what it usually goes for, and then I saw the extras, which are absolutely ridiculous. I got this set on a Monday, and it took me to the Friday to get through the films and all the extras. Granted, I was working, so I only had like 2 or 3 hours at night, but still it almost took me a week to get through the box set. Again, I don't get paid by Imprint, it just I happen to be buying a few Imprints, and that's why my channel seems to have turned into an Imprint heavy channel. But this set is, again, another pretty amazing set from Imprint. So I'll just go through, because you could also make the argument that none of these films are perhaps Hammer masterpieces, but they all have interest, if you're that way inclined, and they're all kind of underrated in their own special little way. We'll start with Countess Dracula, which is spine number 50. It's a nice shot of Nigel Green, and any film with Nigel Green is a good film, basically. This stars Ingrid Pitt. Again, for being a horror icon, she didn't actually star in that many horror films. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on the films, because they're fairly well known. But this is one of the few stories loosely based on the Bathory legend, or the greatest female serial killer of all time, depending who you listen to, who at least killed about 100 young women and tortured them in Hungary. It's not really, there's not actually that much blood or horror, it's more like a melodrama about an old woman who has to kill virgins to stay young, but every time it wears off she gets uglier and uglier. It's really a statement on plastic surgery and the eternal quest for good looks. But again, the extras, again, if you're only buying films for the film and you're not interested in the extras, or you're not interested in history, then obviously the network Blu-rays are wonderful. You can get them for under a tenner. So the special features in Countess Dracula: 1080 presentation of the film. There's a commentary with Ingrid Pitt, Kim Newman and Stephen Jones. There's a commentary by Ingrid Pitt the director Peter Sadsday, writer Jeremy Paul, and author Jonathan Southcott. And there's another commentary with Jonathan Rigby and Kevin Lyons from 2021. Vampire Lover, The Life and Career of Ingrid Pitt, which is just an absolutely fantastic essay by Kat Ellinger that I actually found deeply moving when you realise Ingrid Pitt as a little girl was actually in a concentration camp, and they were essentially in line to go into the gas chambers, and then word came down that the showers had broken, so they didn't get executed. And when you hear about her life, she literally escaped Eastern Germany by jumping in the river and swimming the river. It was actually quite a moving piece by Kat Ellinger, and it's absolutely fantastic. And then there's another visual essay by Kat Ellinger about Blood Countess, about the iterations of Bathory on film from 2021 as well, which is fantastic. There's archival video and audio interviews with Ingrid Pitt. There's an interview with director Peter Sadsday. There's an interview with actor Leon Lissick from 2021. There's an interview with the writer Gabriel Renee from 2021. Isolated music and effects score, and trailers and a stills gallery. So absolutely stacked, and the Ingrid Pitt pieces by Kat Ellinger are spectacularly good. Next we have this wonderful artwork for Hands of the Ripper from 1971. Again, all four of these films are from 1971 and 1972, and they went out in double bills as Hammer was churning films out by the bucket load. And there's a still on the inside. This is an odd Hammer, but it's actually quite wonderful. This is a Jack the Ripper film, but we only get a brief view of Jack the Ripper because this is about his daughter. And again, it's a wonderful film about generational abuse, the effects of trauma. Eric Portman is a scientist who wants to help this young woman who people keep dying around her. He talks about Freud, but the wonderful thing about the film is he's a complete buffoon. People are dying all around him, and he keeps going, I can get a cure. Meanwhile, everybody's getting killed. He is actually a bit of a pillock, but he has that kind of determination, and I'm a scientist and I'll fix it. It has a wonderful ending. It's got really brutal kills in the film. Again, it's one of Hammer's most underrated, just because it's, again, a bit different, which kind of all of these films are a bit different, but they're all kind of wonderful. Again, that's the extras on Hands of the Ripper. 1080 presentation of the film. Commentary by Angharad Rees, who plays the young woman, and Kim Newman and Stephen Jones. There's another commentary by Jonathan Rigby and Kevin Lyons, which are favourites of mine. And the other three films all have retrospective feature-length documentaries about them. I mean, the extras in this set are ridiculous. The Devil's Bloody Plaything, Possessed by Hands of the Ripper documentary. Again, that's a feature-length making of and retrospective. Fresh Blood interview with Peter Sadsey, who of course directed Countess Dracula. Slaughter of Innocence, the evolution of Hammer gore, which is a stills gallery, which is fascinating. A US television introduction, audio only, because they had to get an actor to explain what was going on, very much like the end of Psycho. Original UK and US theatrical trailers and TV spots, isolated music and effects score, and a stills gallery. That's Hands of the Ripper. So I'll just talk about the network Blu-ray, Region B of Hands of the Ripper. So this has the same commentary with Adhara Dries and Kim Newman and Stephen Jones, and a trailer, and it has an episode of Thriller, which is I'm sure it was BBC, I think it was an ITV show, once the killing starts, and it just has a commemorative booklet. So the imprint edition has the extra commentary and again the feature length retrospective making of. It's wonderful. Next we have Twins of Evil with more lovely artwork. And again, artwork inside. And that's the extras. As you can see, this one is ridiculously stacked as well. This stars Peter Cushing as a maniacal brotherhood who basically gets their kicks by burning busty young women, claiming that they're witches in a league with the devil. It's one of Cushing's most interesting roles, because he is playing a scumbag who thinks he's doing the right thing. There's moments later in the film where he questions that, and it's quite wonderful. It co-stars Kathleen Byron from Pull and Pressburger, Black Narcissus, etc. Small Back Room. Has his wife. You know, at one point later in the film he says, "I've tried to be a good man," and she says, "Yes, you've tried." It's one of Cushing's most interesting and complex performances. Obviously it stars two ex-Playboy models as the twins, one bad with a slightly foreign accent and one good with the proper English accent. See what they did there? And it's actually about, as a woman in that society, you're actually better being the freedom and the sexual freedom of the nasty vampire as opposed to living under Peter Cushing's thumb of your parents died, so you should be in black for the rest of your life. The vampire, or becomes the vampire after being bitten by a resurrected female vampire, which is a really effective and well done scene, is basically a bored rich person who is looking for that extra thrill. Somebody actually does say in the commentary, I think, it kind of harkens forwards to the Frank Cotton character in Hellraiser, who's just like bored and has done every extreme and wants to take to the next level. That's the character that Damien Thomas plays in this. He's just a rich, bored guy who wants the next thrill, because the kind of faux Satanist that Dennis Price procures for him just isn't doing it for him. Again, this is another underrated Hammer film. There's lots of kind of subtext going on. But again, this is a 1080 presentation of the film. There's a commentary by Kim Newman and Stephen Jones from 2021. There's a commentary by Jonathan Rigby and Kevin Lyons from 2021. The director's cut of The Flesh and the Fury, Exposing Twins of Evil, feature-length documentary exploring Hammer's Karnstein trilogy, which is Vampire Lovers, this, and I've completely forgotten the middle one. Somebody will correct me in the comments. From 2021, again, feature length. Satanic Decadence and the Legacy of Sheridan Lefanu in Hammer's Twins of Evil, a visual essay by Kat Ellinger from 2021, which again is fantastic. The props that Hammer built, the Kinsey Collection featurette, again, looking at all the little bats that their little wings have perished over the years. An interview with director John Howe, an interview with Damien Thomas, Super 8 version, deleted scene, original trailers, isolated music and effects score, audio track, and a motion stills gallery. So again, looking at the network Blu-ray, this one has the original trailers, a deleted scene, image gallery, and a little booklet. So I mean, the network is pretty much a bare bones, but again, if you're only interested in the film, you can pick that up for under £10 sterling. But again, this is another stunner of a release as far as the extras are concerned, and another really underrated Hammer film. And finally in the set, Vampire Circus. This one's from 1972. And again, there's the internal. And this one has 2 discs, because the other disc, you get Flesh and Blood, The Hammer Heritage of Horror, which is a documentary from 2010, featuring just about everybody talking about Hammer, from all the stars and all the technicians, and that's 2.5 hours long, and that's on Blu-ray as well. And again, you can see the extras on Vampire Circus. So a 1080 presentation of the film, audio commentary by Kim Newman and Stephen Jones, audio commentary by Jonathan Rigby and Kevin Lyons, the bloodiest show on earth, Making Vampire Circus, feature-length documentary, gallery of grotesqueries, a brief history of circus horrors, a featurette with British author, film historian Philip Nutman, revisiting the House of Hammer, Britain's legendary horror magazine, featurette with author, film historian Philip Nutman, Behind the Mirror, The Secret History of Vampire Circus, that's another documentary about Vampire Circus, Blood and Circuses, interview with Robert Young, the director, Vampire Victim, interview with Sibylla Kay, Cutting Hammer Horror, interview with the editor, Peter Musgrave, Vampire Circus motion comic book and animated stills, theatrical trailer, and the isolated music, and obviously the bonus disc, which is the director's cut, so it's an extra 40 minutes. Again, Vampire Circus is an odd little film, which almost starts with paedophilia, and there's real bats, because Robert Young wanted to use real bats, so it's perhaps the only vampire film with real bats, certainly at that point. About a curse, and the Vampire Circus, who are a mix of vampire, lycanthrope, killing the villagers' children. It's actually fairly unsavoury, but again, it has just moments of really odd fascination. It might not be the best out of the set, but again, it has its moments, and again, the extras are just ridiculous. So again, you could say this set is certainly a luxury, because you can get all the films, you know, unlike some imprint sets like the neo-noir, where currently I think that's pretty much the only place you can get those films on Blu-ray at the moment. This can be seen as a luxury because you can get all 4 of these films on cheaper Blu-rays elsewhere. But again, the package, having them all in one place, he said, desperately trying to validate it. And the extras on this set are absolutely ridiculous. Again, if you're interested in Hammer, the history of British film, the history of censorship in British film and in America, you know, it goes into detail about, you know, all the cuts that had to be made for the US and the UK. There are 4 quirky, underrated, different Hammer films, and the set is absolutely ridiculous. The work they've put in as far as extras is just phenomenal. But again, there's cheaper alternatives if you just want the films. But that's Hammer Horror. Imprint have also released the Hammer House of Horror and the TV show, but I certainly won't be picking that up because I do have that on another Blu-ray, and it's not a TV show that you would watch that often, but they've done that as well. Who knows if they'll release any more? Who knows where Indicator is with their Hammer sets? Because there's a bunch of prehistoric hammers that I'm sure could go into another box set at some point. So thanks very much for watching this. Yes, I admit it's fairly self-indulgent, but what a set. And a lovely bit of cardboard too. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below what is your favourite Hammer out of those four, or how you would rank them. And hopefully you'll join me again for more episodes of In the Frame. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.